Welcome in, everybody, to the In Off the Bench podcast. I am Jim Cross. It is a new year. It is a new season, but I am still always joined by my best friend, Daniel Ball. Daniel, how you doing?
What up? What up? Happy New Year.
Absolutely. Daniel, I was thinking about it, man. So 504 guests, 17 sports, coast to coast. You know something we've never talked about before?
What's that? What we never talked about?
Golf. And I'm wondering, is it because we're no good at it?
Look, speak for yourself. I
Well, you ain't
am
good at golf. Why are you
I
lying?
am I am hear me out now. I am as good as most bad players. And the reason I say that way is because how many people do you know that when you ask them about golf, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm pretty good at golf," when you know dang
I
well
hate
they're
when they
not,
start
they
telling me
can't
what
play.
they shoot. Like I'm gonna know if they're good or not because I don't play enough to know if that is good or not.
I mean, I think anybody who starts off telling you what they shoot is probably not as good as what they're
Yeah,
saying.
I mean, if I go golfing with them, I mean, there's a reason why we sponsored a team for years instead of playing. Like I got no business out there, and if I did, like Daniel, I've managed to corral my anger the last few years. It would all come back. I would break so many clubs. It'd be very unhealthy.
You you might be surprised. It might like channel a different side of you, like because it is a frustrating sport, but I think it's for everybody. It's not like everyone is good at golf. Only the select few that really, really fine tune their craft and play it all the time are good at golf. And even guys that play all the time aren't that good at golf.
Well, the good news is this episode isn't about me playing golf. It's about
Thank
Dakota
God.
Cunningham. How you doing, Dakota?
What's up? I'm doing great. How are you?
Man, we're excited. Obviously we're going to really get into gymnastics and baseball season, but what a way to launch this new year and talk about a new sport with somebody who obviously has a story in overcoming adversity. But before we get into all that, I got to first, we're coming off Christmas, New Year's. Got to know, first of all, how was your Christmas? How was your New Year's?
I had a great Christmas and New Year's. It was all spent with family. We had a great time together. I'm a big family guy. We love spending time together, so that's always fun. All my family on my dad's side comes in town, and we get to see them and catch up. And it's every year. It's a great time.
No doubt. Daniel, what's the best thing you did? Because I know you could probably talk all day. You got little girls, your wife. Like, what was the best thing you did over Christmas break?
I think just it's not really like the event of Christmas, it's the build up and watching the anticipation, the excitement grow and like going and looking at Christmas lights and like hanging out and like doing all those things. I think all of those things combined is my favorite part and what I enjoy the most over the break.
Dakota, did you make a New Year's resolution, or are you one of those guys that just, I don't make a resolution, I'm just going to be better this year?
I'm more of a, I'm just going to be better this year. I don't like necessarily focusing on one thing. I just want to become a better person and continue grinding and getting better at all aspects of my life.
Can I say something? Since when did like New Year's resolutions become this like negative connotation where like you shouldn't have a resolution, you should have like a manifestation, or you should have like a goal? Like it's give me a break. It's the same.
The best one I've ever heard, Daniel, was on this podcast. Trey Lipscomb from Tennessee, now with the Nationals, came on here and said his was to wake up and go outside and see the sun every day before he looks at his phone. That's a goal, and that's a resolution that'll make you better in life. So shout out to Trey. That's still the best one I've heard.
I mean, I guess it's a little different because you're putting like, you're not just saying I want to eat better. Like you're giving like parameters every day. I want to do this before I do this. Like, all right, I can see
all
that.
those Dakota this Friday at the DAC. They say the second Friday of the new year is called Quitting Friday, so we'll finally get our equipment back.
Oh, I know.
Get cleaned out.
There's been so many people there. It's not even funny.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? I try not to say anything or judge it, and hope that everybody will stay in there. You should want people to have healthy lifestyles, but I do like not having to wait on anything. So, I mean, it's kind of is what it is. But let's get into something that I actually do have a problem with. I got to ask, Dakota, have you watched the college football playoffs? And if so, what have you thought about the expansion to 12 teams? Has it failed in your mind, or has it been exciting for you?
I don't watch a ton of football. I know exactly what you're talking about though. And I'm very neutral on the change as well.
They got the order wrong. They should have reseeded, and if they were going to make an immediate change, Daniel, I would feel better. But all the wrong things that could have happened in this thing, Daniel, happened. You had teams in that really shouldn't have been in. You had teams match up that really shouldn't have been. I mean, Daniel, we've had one close game. Like, how do you feel about it?
I mean, I think I'm the one guy on the outside. I think everybody should be in the playoff.
You just want Memphis in, which, I mean, you said it yourself all year as you were frustrated.
You know,
if Memphis doesn't lose to UTSA, they are in the playoff.
Well, I don't think so. Not this year. I think Boise State's is getting in regardless. But it's hard. It's easier for me to say that being a Memphis fan. You being an LSU fan, you have a little bit more allegiance to like being able to say like, yeah, I would like this to be as minimal as possible.
Look, we got 3 titles this century, and we did 2 of them without a playoff at all, and 1 of them with the 14 teams, and we boat raced everybody. So,
right. I mean, you had arguably the best college football team to ever play, like win a championship. So, like when you have that versus a guy who is just scratching to get some breathing room out of the worst conference ever, like give me more teams. I'll take it all. I mean, I meaningful football. And I think that's why the NCAA tournament is so good. But I think the differences between the two is you're going to get more of the big dogs winning in a basketball game than you would in a football game, just because there's just so many intangibles that can happen.
Dakota, if I can ever teach you a life lesson, as he talks about that team that was the greatest to ever bless a college football field, I did get to go see them 4 times that year, but I made the smartest move I've ever made. And I got to give my dad his props because he had a role in this. But I got offered tickets to the national championship a few days before. And, my wife had already set up a watch party. She had gotten to be all in on LSU. And so I called my dad and he said, "You can't go." I was like, "What do you mean I can't go?" He says, "Your wife is all in. That's all you ever wanted was her to watch football with you." And he's like, "You can't bail on her now." And so anyways, I didn't. And Daniel, I know he wouldn't bail on his wife, but it's the smartest move. And so when I tell people, they're like, "You didn't go to the national championship, you had a ticket." And I'm like, "I did not." But, you got to keep the wife happy. So if I can ever tell you anything, as much as you may love golf or anything sports related that comes around, if you're married, man, make the right choice.
Hey, it's family over everything. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But Daniel, you know who didn't, unlike the college football playoff, who didn't drop the ball this past weekend?
Who? You're asking me questions that I like. There could be 1,000 answers, but I feel like I'm not in your head, and I don't want to be.
Well,
so,
the ABCA took place in Washington, D.C. Man, all the coaches in college baseball across the country were there. Our boys from Chinook Cedar, our sponsor there. Check this video out. Daniel, the whole country, East Coast, West Coast, down south, got 8 flavors, mild to wild, the best in the game. Like, this is what we want, especially not just as them being our sponsor, but as investors, man. We want the whole nation knowing.
Yeah, where were these guys when I was in Chicago at this same exact conference, freezing my butt off? I could have used some 8 flavors, mild to wild, to warm me up.
Well, I have no answers, but the good news is, if you go back, they'll be there, I think, every year going forward. You don't want to go to D.C. I know that. Chicago's way better.
True that. I enjoyed myself when I went to D.C., but Dakota, man, let's talk. Dude, we got to get you in the fold. Obviously, getting you on the podcast is definitely, we're very blessed to have that. So, let's out the gate. Let's get to know you a little bit. Tell us a little bit about where you're from.
So I am from Olive Branch, Mississippi. I've grown up here, been raised here. For a lot of people, they don't know where that is, but it's right near Memphis, Tennessee. So
Olive Branch, South Haven, Horn Lake, like saying DeSoto County just seems to make it easier, but most people do say Memphis.
right, yeah. When I'm traveling and stuff for tournaments, I always tell people I'm pretty much from Memphis.
Daniel, who is the biggest NFL player from Olive Branch? You don't know the answer, like you said earlier to the other questions, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
From Olive Branch.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest football player from Olive Branch.
KJ Wright, Super Bowl champ from the Seattle Seahawks.
I was going to be in my list. I kept thinking it was it. I was thinking along the lines of like, I knew D'Angelo was an Arkansas guy, and I started like kind of replaying, and like Tony Pollard is a Memphis guy, and like just, but yeah, that's a good one. That's a good claim to fame right there.
I bet Dakota, when he references South Haven, he's got to go Austin Riley. He goes to a school.
I honestly, I was thinking more along the lines of kickers, and I thought at first, because Stephen Gostowski is a guy from Mississippi, I almost said him, but I was pretty sure it was like Madison or something that he went to in Mississippi, not Olive Branch.
I got him off on a tangent. That's my bad, Dakota.
Yeah, my bad. But
all good.
All right, so you talk about growing up, born and raised there. Who are you living with? You got mom, dad, brothers, sisters?
I got mom. Her name's Trisha. I got dad. His name's Steve, and then my sister Brecken, who's 13.
What's it like having a younger sister? Like, did you guys get along? Did you fight?
So we get along great. My sister and I are very, very close, but it is hard for me because I'm watching her grow up, and that's just not
so
right.
Fun. Especially at 13. Jim had a daughter go through that phase, and he wanted to pull his hair out every day. Still does.
Hey, she's got her boyfriend now. I'm sitting here like,
Hey man, hey, he can do the bad boy scene, Daniel. The golf club scene, it's not even fake. He walks around with a golf club for real.
Yep.
Could you imagine him just teeing one up in the front yard?
I mean, that's a scary thought. A dude who can swing it like he can coming at me with a golf club, like,
Hey, I got a simulator in my house too, so I'm carrying around a golf club in the house all the time. He better be intimidated.
His simulator has dudes running, and he's just trying to like tee off and like tag them from like 250 out, just tagging them. Dakota, so obviously, we're going to get into the golf game a little bit, but when did you start picking up the clubs and start playing? So
I have grown up in the game. My dad actually, he played professional mini tours for a while. So I've grown up around it. But seriously, it was about 5.5 years ago is when I seriously started getting into it.
I thought he was going to say when he was 5.5. I was like, this dude would have beat me when he was 5 years
old.
Oh,
no.
That seems, I mean, you're young. All right. So, but to me, like, to be as good as you are, it seems like just picking it up 5 years ago, like that still seems like a late, in the game to pick it up.
So for golf, I was extremely late. The guys that I'm now playing against and have grown up playing against, they've been playing since they were 5, like you were saying. So yes, I'm definitely very late to the game, and there's a big story behind that and the reason for why I'm late to the game. But I'm very blessed to say that I've made big improvements over the past 5 years.
So who would you say getting into the game and the game itself and challenging yourself to be better, who was your influence to do all that?
I mean, we know dad, but like, who's the golfer?
Who's the golfer?
Like, is it Tiger Woods? Is it Bubba Watson?
No, I mean, Tiger was our time. When Tiger was in his prime, I don't even know if Dakota.
Hey, dude, here's the thing though, Jim. Tiger Woods in golf is like Michael Jordan. Like,
true.
Like people, no matter how old you are, you've got to learn the history of the greatest. And
I mean,
Tiger Woods
I
is
never
one of the greats.
golfed, and I still wore back in the day. I wore Tiger Woods Nike golf shirts just because. I mean, like you said, he was so legendary. He made the clothes worth wearing. Like it was like I want to dress like Tiger, even though I'm never going to swing a club.
Yeah, so I've actually got a couple of people. One is actually behind Tiger's generation. He's older than Tiger. His name's Lauren Roberts. He played on the senior tour and on the PGA tour for a little while, but he actually lives in Memphis, and he's one of my mentors. So I'm very close with Mr. Lauren, and he's got over 30 wins on different tours, and he's an incredible player and also incredible guy to be around. More kind of new day people, Justin Thomas, Justin Rose, Bryson DeChambeau. Those are kind of my top players.
And
Yeah,
John Daly.
And the thing is that the golfers that you name, me and Daniel may not play all that much, but they're all big names to the point where we know them. And you know, I've watched definitely on some Masters tournaments, definitely when the FedEx Tour comes locally in Memphis. So very aware of the guys that you're saying. But you said you were late to the game. Let's get into why. You know, at what age are you diagnosed with leukemia?
So I was 11 when I was diagnosed. So actually before treatment, I was a competitive soccer player. I had actually made the number 2 ranked team in the state of Tennessee a week before I was diagnosed as goalie.
At least he said state of Tennessee, Daniel, because we know, as my daughter being a soccer star, when you say Mississippi, it is ranked 50th in the nation in quality soccer. So if you would have said you were number 2 ranked in Mississippi, that would have meant nothing. But you said
no.
Tennessee.
So this team, they actually traveled all over the world. The year that I made it onto their team, they traveled to Italy, Spain. I mean, and we were playing up a year as well. So they were the real deal.
Daniel, me and my daughter got to go to places like Arkansas. This man's going to Italy and Spain. This ain't right.
Well, I never got to play with them. I made the team a week before I was diagnosed. The way we found out that I was about to go through the cancer journey was about to rock my world is I was actually on a soccer field for my old team that I was playing for before I made it onto this team. And it was kind of our end of the year party. And I ran onto the field regular, and then I ran off, and all of my lymph nodes on my entire body were swollen. So when I ran off, I had 0 neck. It went straight from jawline down to my shoulders. And I can still remember the looks on like the parents' faces that were sitting on the sidelines. They were sitting there like, what just happened? Because I ran on completely normal, ran off, I had 0 neck. So that was kind of how we started and found everything that was going on.
You're 11 and this happens. I mean, sometimes as a kid, maybe things don't hit you as much. Maybe, you know, you aren't as scared, but maybe you do. Like, I mean, what is that situation like? I mean, are you freaking out?
So, you know, at that point, I didn't really realize what was going on because the only thing I was feeling was tired. So I was taken to Le Bonheur, the big children's hospital here in town, and they did a CAT scan on me, and that's when we found out all the lymph nodes over my entire body were swollen. And as soon as they got the scans back, I was admitted back into Le Bonheur. Because those lymph nodes were actually all tangled up in my chest cavity, and they were pressing on my trachea. Which was 4 millimeters, which is pretty much, if you know those black coffee stir sticks, I was breathing through one of those. So the doctors were extremely afraid of me basically suffocating at that point. And so they kept trying to figure everything out. And then they sent me over to St. Jude actually in the middle of the night. And still at this point, I had no idea really what was going on. I was still extremely tired, which I'm very thankful for my parents. My parents didn't really tell me everything that was going on at first. They wanted to make sure that, okay, we have answers before we tell him exactly what's going on.
And they're very smart for that, because I can tell you, as somebody obviously who had cancer, the not knowing part when we were trying to figure things out, because my lymph nodes had swollen up, and that whole 3-month phase, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's actually kind of relieving when you do know what it is, as crazy as that sounds.
Right. So they were big on, the doctors were saying that this could be a really bad infection. This could be something that we have no idea what's going on. This could be cancer. So my parents said, hey, we're not going to tell him until we know exactly what's going on. And then, as I said, I was transferred over to St. Jude in the middle of the night, and they ran all their tests and all their kind of stuff. And it found out, after having two bone marrow aspirates, a spinal tap, a skin graft, and a PICC line put in my arm, that I had leukemia, and not leukemia and lymphoma. And I had to do all that with no sedation, nothing, because of my trachea. So I wasn't able to be put under. I had no pain meds. I had nothing when they were sticking needles into my hip and into my back, and basically taking an ice cream scooper to my back to take the skin graft out.
Daniel, usually we try to put ourselves in the shoes of the person we're talking to, but as a parent, I want to ask you, man, him talking about his parents, all these things are taking place. They've got to be strong for him, but yet they're scared to death because they don't know what it is. And then they're doing all this testing. Like, can you imagine? I mean, you got 2 young children, your 11-year-old going through all this.
That's one of your, you wake up every day and you can be as strong as you want, but one of the biggest fears you have once you become a parent is not being able to do something for your kid because it's completely out of your control. And I feel like this is a situation where your parents had zero control, and that's a really tough pill to swallow. And then having to wait and not tell you and not give you answers and just say, hey man, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. We're gonna find out what's going on, and all the while you're trying to be tough, because like you're probably getting local anesthetic, but nothing that's gonna relieve any pain.
Man, when I was going through that type of stuff, I didn't even get local anesthetic. They had no numbing. God. They had nothing. So everything, like the bone marrow aspirate that I went through, the 2, I sit here and talk about it, and I can still feel, I can feel every bit of that procedure that's going on.
Jim, it's probably a blessing that he was so close to St. Jude.
Absolutely.
So you're getting the treatment at St. Jude, you find out what it actually is. How long does this, battle take place?
So the actual protocol is 2.5 years. And there's actually 3 phases to leukemia treatment, at least on the total 17, which is what I was on. And the first phase is what we call induction. And within the first 8 weeks, I had over 100 IV chemo treatments. And that's not including the steroids or the chemo pills that I took. And that was some of the hardest times that we went through, because at that point I lost everything. Chemo is basically controlled killing of your body, as you know. And they're basically pumping rat poisoning into you. And so when you get that much medication put into you, then your body deteriorates. And within the first 8 weeks, I had lost 25 pounds of muscle mass, and all of my motor skills, as well as I wasn't physically strong enough because of the muscle loss that I had to be able to walk to the bathroom. I had to be carried to the bathroom. And that was within 8 weeks.
And then on top of everything you're going through, just with obviously, the pain in general, but Daniel, I think about, man, that's 2.5 years of his childhood that he's
Yes.
missing out on. Even something that, kids don't like to do, go to school and academics. Like, you're not even getting to do that part, but obviously all the, like you said, the soccer, the playing, have fun. So on top of all that, man, just missing a big chunk of your childhood. But nonetheless, obviously we wouldn't be having this story if, you didn't beat it. So, man, when was that? And just what was that feeling like after everything you'd went through?
So after everything was, pretty much over, the thing is, recovery didn't end at the end of treatment. I'm still recovering from things now, cognitively. Um, just all there's so many different side effects that you wouldn't imagine that going through that type of thing. But when I was completely finished with treatment and I did not have to take any more medication coming out of St. Jude, man, the feeling was just, it was incredible. It's honestly not something that you can describe. It was more of a buildup, and then just a sigh of, hey, I'm done.
And
Sigh
I
of
know
relief.
exactly what you were talking about, because even though I'm in remission, there's still so many lingering things. Like, I don't have a thyroid and I have all the scar tissue and damage. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And your situation is worse than mine, and you're growing and developing, obviously, as a young man. So I know what you're talking about. But it is a feeling that is good when they tell you that it's gone, right? And
Absolutely.
relief.
Absolutely. So yeah, the thing about leukemia treatment is you're actually technically in remission after the first phase, which is those 8 or 10 weeks. Mine was 10 weeks. But the thing is, leukemia has dormant cells, and so basically the reason it's so long is because they're waiting for those dormant cells to become undormant, and then they kill those cells. Um, so that's why the treatment was so long. And with every medication I had drop foot. I lost all that weight. I had major attention problems coming out of treatment, which I still struggle with. It was just everything. I was the running joke in the hospital that the side effects that you can have, I was going to get every single one of them, because that's just who I was.
Is it bittersweet when you get to, I'm assuming you get to ring a bell, like you get out of there, but on the flip side is, like, I'm sure in the back of your head, like, you've met a ton of people who haven't had that opportunity yet. What is that like, knowing, like, I get to leave here, but some of these people and kids younger than are still there fighting their battle, waiting for their opportunity to get out of there?
That's always a tough thing. It's always a tough thing for me to talk about. I have a very, very soft side when it comes to that type of stuff, just because I've been through it. I've got, I actually know multiple people that they were in treatment and didn't make it out. They're now angels. They're not with us anymore. And then I know multiple people that are, hey, you got people that are just now going in tonight, or the past week have been there, or just it's hard. It's very, very hard.
So with that, you obviously, you get a chance to leave, and you get to try to pick up the pieces and get back to what was normal at one point, and when you look at that, you got to talk about golf. How hard is it to find your swing and find, like, is it more so finding, like, the game again, or is it just building your strength and building the want and the attention and just wanting to get out there and do it again?
Right. So as I said, I was actually a competitive soccer player before. So I actually got into golf seriously in the middle of treatment and kind of used it as a therapy. And so that was my physical therapy and rebuilding phase.
So
Was
even with
going
Dad
through.
being a pro golfer, you weren't golfing any before you were sick?
I had picked up a club, but I mean, the thing with golf is you can pick up a club but not have any idea what you're doing.
That's me.
Um, so no, really and truly, I did not know how to play golf before
Dang, that makes it
treatment.
even crazier that he's good. He didn't
God,
start till after, and then he had like he talked about it, his whole body was, shut down and had to build back up. And so it makes it even crazier that he's
you
good at
know,
literally the most skillful game.
it would. I wish you were just a bad dude so I could be mad at you. Like I can't even be mad at you.
Well, what's funny is the reason I even asked, the reason he's on here, Daniel, our student pastor at church, Jay Williams, I asked him who he was because Dakota walks around the gym and he's talking to everybody. And I've seen him for months now. And I was like, who is that kid? And he was like, you don't know him? And he told me, because I was like, he's always walking around talking to everybody. I said, I feel like I'm the only person that don't know him.
That's what it was, Dakota. This dude, he talks to everybody, so he was mad. He was holding a
Not
grudge
talking to
that you
me,
weren't
man.
talking to him.
Hey, I am always open. I talk to everybody, and no, I try and share my story with everybody. It's I feel like I can help a lot of people if they're going through tough times, or just getting the story out and bringing more realization to what can actually happen in life and how drastic
Well,
something
even
can
not even
change
just
so
from a
quickly.
motivation standpoint, perspective, right? Because I'm somebody who was upset that I was dealt my cards at 25, but you were dealt them at 11. Like my complaint really holds no weight on yours. Like, not that it's a competition, but it gives perspective and some insight to like, okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, because like Daniel even said, there's kids younger than you. So, I mean, the fact that I was even 25 and strong enough and had this support system and everything that I did. So, I mean, it definitely opens your eyes to a lot of things.
Absolutely. The saying that my parents and I always had is it can always be worse. No matter what you're going through, no matter what cards you were dealt, it can always be worse. So be grateful for what you were dealt, and be grateful for the experiences and the gifts that you get.
But Daniel, we got him swinging the club the way he does, and then we got Talon throwing 96 mile an hour from the left. Like, what is going on? Are they really giving y'all bionic pieces in there? Is this what's really taking place?
I really wish they were. I do. I do. No, I know Talon. He's a great guy. He's an awesome guy.
I mean, Dakota's probably like, hey, look, if you slip a little something in there, like I ain't gonna be mad.
That's right.
I'll drive it. I'll drive it 350. No problem. Let's go. All right. So, you obviously you get to go back to school. Currently right now, where are you going to school, and who are you playing for?
So I'm actually homeschooled. The thing about golf is it's way different than any other sport when it comes to playing for teams. Um, a lot like for I know that like okay, football you get recruited from high school very often. Um, Baseball you get recruited from high school often. You also have travel ball and all that kind of stuff, but golf is mainly focused on individual tournaments. College coaches look at national rankings and they look at your individual tournaments, and you can really only bump that up by playing and traveling yourself. So
Makes
the
sense.
high school stuff
So
doesn't.
playing for DeSoto Central don't move the needle at all, huh?
I mean, if you go out and win state, or you're
What's
going
crazy is I
out.
didn't know that you were homeschooled because you play for DeSoto Central. I made an assumption that you went to DeSoto Central.
So yeah, I play out there with their team a whole bunch.
It's like warm up, Daniel. He goes out
Yeah,
there
that's
to
what I
church
was
with
gonna say. It
softball.
ain't, he's playing for sure. Just playing around. It's like when a cat catches a mouse, it kind of just plays with it a little bit, and then once it's done with it, it does its
No,
thing. That's
I
you with
love
the Soto Central's golf team.
I love the Soto Central golf team. All those guys are awesome. There's some great players on there. There's some very good players on that team, and it just takes work. It just takes work.
So speaking of work, all right, Jim says we already know he sees you in the gym. He's watching you. He's watching who you're talking to because it ain't him. And, one of the big questions I have was working out the primary focus to getting back to being a good golfer, or becoming a better golfer? Is it the strength aspect? Is that why you're in the gym, or is going to the gym something that, after you go through this, you're like, I just want to be able to do this because there was a point in time where I couldn't?
So it's actually a combination of all of the above. The game is modernized a lot to where the strength aspect of it is very, very important. I mean, you look at all the guys. When Tiger came out, that's when the game started modernizing. You now got Bryson DeChambeau and you got Brooks Koepka and all these guys that are. I mean, they are athletes. You have to be an athlete to play golf now. And so the gym has. It's not only, hey, I'm getting better at playing golf, because I've got a great trainer that I work with. His name's Jeremy Crow, and he is TPI certified. So I do all my golf workouts and all this kind of stuff because it's specialized, but it's also, I do a lot of the same workouts that other sports do. But I absolutely love being in there. It's kind of a mental escape for me now. I go in there and I get to talk to a whole bunch of people. Since I'm not going to school, I use it as a social aspect.
And I should have picked up on this, Daniel. It just occurred to me. It really, Dakota, I'm really not that smart, because I said I thought you went to DeSoto Central, but Daniel, I work out at 8, 9 o'clock every day, and I see Dakota every day. So why did I think he went to DeSoto Central?
I don't know.
Wow.
He's so smart, that, or he's doing like what is it when you have half a day?
Well, Taylor had half a day, but usually they got the second half of the day out, not the first half. That would be nice, though, going to the gym for 2 hours every day before you go into school, Daniel. That's the life right there.
Man,
I'd be in the right mindset for school at that point. So
hey, I go in, I generally wake up around 5:30 or so. I start practice, and then I've already practiced for about an hour and a half before I ever get to the gym at 8 o'clock in the morning. So
there it is.
You do breakfast. Do you do breakfast before or after your early morning practice?
I generally do it after morning practice, and then I go to the gym right after breakfast.
Ooh, nice little breakfast.
He really is your people, though, man. 5:30 practices. That's your kind of people, man. Not me. People 5:30.
I love people that do the same things as me. That's what's up. Special people. All right. So Louisiana Monroe. All right. It becomes the school that you want to continue your golf journey at. So how does that come to be?
So actually, that's a very, very interesting story. So I was playing in a whole bunch of individual tournaments and stuff, and I got offered by Jacksonville State. And I was actually about to take that offer. But then the coach texted me and said, "Hey, I'm actually leaving the school." And I was very grateful that he told me that before I committed. But he said that, and I was like, "Whoa!" I thought my recruiting journey was over, because I was about to commit. So I had a tournament next week after I got that information, and I went out and shot 67, 65, and I won by 7 shots, I believe it was. And this was a big elite tournament. We were playing the golf course at 7,000 or 7,100 yards. Very, very tough golf course in the middle of Tennessee. And
not for everybody else, not for you.
No, Dakota stood on the 18th green and was like, "Are you not entertained, everybody?"
I just know that God was looking out for him, because let me tell you, Danielle, I was stationed in Jacksonville for 3 years. Jacksonville State's a party school if I've ever seen one, and Dakotas don't come off as that guy.
Hey, I'm not. So I I had that tournament, and then actually Nathan reached out to me. I mean, it was right after that tournament because a lot of guys, a lot of schools were watching me, but they were waiting for me to kind of have a breakout moment. Um, and Nathan reached out to me and at ULM, and I was like, man, okay, this is we're moving up here. I'm really excited. Um, and so Nathan came from Texas Tech. He was there when they were number one in the country for golf, and then he came to be the head coach at Monroe. And so he reached out to me, and I went on a visit. And he's actually still to this day never come out and seen. He's never seen me play in person, which is unheard of for a recruiting process for golf. But I'm very, very thankful, and it all worked out for the best because I'm so excited to go play for Nathan at Monroe.
I mean, it almost seems like, things happen for a reason. You fall into the right place at the right time. People come into your life when you need it the most. And, I will say this, you earned it, man. Like you went out and you shot what you needed to shoot and you dominated people. But like when you bottle your whole life up and what you've gone through, man, you've definitely earned it. You've earned
thank you.
the ability to go and do something you enjoy, man. And I don't say that lightly, and I don't say that to everybody because I think a lot of people still need to work and earn stuff, but I not with you, man. You've already earned all the good things that come to you. You've earned it, man. So I hope you get more.
Well, thank you. I greatly appreciate that. I mean, the thing is, as you said, everybody's got to work for it. You got to put your time in. You got to make the effort. You got to be positive. You got to smile. You got to put your work in.
Well, Dakota, we were talking at the gym today. I told you in regards to the surgery on the pec tear, and I told you I wasn't even going to wait. I was just going to proceed forward. And you talking about working, like when I told you I had those neck surgeries and they told me that I wasn't going to be able to work out again, that was like bulletin board material. All right, bet. And I was in there working harder. And then next thing you know, 6 months later, I was fully recovered and working out as hard as I ever was after they said I wouldn't. So whether your story, my story, anybody else's, it's up to you to try to put in the effort to find out if you can defy the odds.
That's exactly right. The human body's a lot tougher than we give it credit for.
I'll tell you this, Dakota, because Daniel knows this. I mean, he spent as much time at my house as anybody. He watched my mom battle cancer multiple times. She was not supposed to make it past, my 12th birthday. And here we are. I'm 40 years old. She's had cancer 5 times, and she's still nagging me and Daniel. So, I mean,
that's right.
It's all about putting in the work.
You got to put in the work and have the mental positivity and confidence to back it up that you're going to do what you want to do.
Definitely. Well, Dakota, it's that time in the interview, man, where we get to play a game. Are you down to play a game?
Absolutely.
I hit the button early.
That's all right. We'll remix that, but the game, it's very simple. It's called This or That. You'll be the 504th person or the 505th person to ever play this game. At
what point do we stop counting again and lose count again to where I have to go back and actually count all those?
Maybe probably next week. You know me. Next week I'll be like, it's like 530.
Daniel, do you know how obnoxious it actually was? As excited as I was to get the numbers, to actually scroll through and count every single guest and every single episode. And then it's not even just easy because you'd say you just count the episodes, but we've had so many returning guests, so that doesn't count.
You would think like there would be a filter at this point for you to be able to just filter it all and tell you real quickly what the answer is.
I'm just going to start making up numbers. Like next week, we're going to have the 700th guest. We jumped 200.
Oh, all right, Dakota. It's very simple. I'm going to give you 2 options. You choose one option or the other. Can't say both. Can't say neither. Very simple. You down to go?
Got it. Let's do it.
Jim, this or that. It's your time. Who's it brought to you by?
Well, to be clear, because Dakota is not of age, we do not condone underage drinking, but shout out to our sponsor. Here is their new video that you can find on Instagram, Old Dominic Distillery. Daniel, you may not be in Memphis no more, but the Tigers are here, and Old Dominic Distillery is here. Heart of downtown. Go over to Front Street. Boy, I'm telling you. Whiskey to vodka, bourbon to gin. You got it all.
Man, I am jealous that I'm 1,000 miles away.
No, you're not, because it is 20 degrees here, and Dakota will confirm this madness.
It is so bad.
Look, y'all. It's gonna be in the 30s, and it's gonna be cold, super cold.
It's gonna be in the 30s in Florida for real.
Yeah,
and then it's gonna be like 80 the next week, though. It's gonna stay cold.
It's gonna be
What's
cold
crazy is, Daniel, going to Oklahoma City for the gymnastics meet this weekend, and it's gonna be like 20 degrees warmer there, where they're typically known for the cold weather. So works out all right.
Not bad. You get away from it. All right, Dakota. First question out the gate. Coffee or energy drink? What are you going with?
Energy drink all the way. Yeah, I'm not a coffee guy.
Yeah, something struck me that you would not be a coffee guy. What's your go-to energy drink? Do you like the Monster? Do you like to, ride the bull?
Are we qualifying pre-workout as an energy drink?
I would say in this realm, yes.
Let me tell you why, because I have a feeling what you're going to say. And if I started taking a pre-workout instead of an energy drink, because it is a energy drinks pre-workout. What's yours?
Bucked Up.
Oh, I was like, I'm drinking the Alani pre-workout. Daniel,
Hey, I mean, it's sold at all your local grocery stores. You can get that Alani, that midnight crush or whatever.
I mean, I'll put it to you this way. Taylor was like, "Why are you sweating so hard?" And I was like, "The pre-workout." I was like, "I ain't even working out yet. I'm sweating."
That's right.
Hey, fun fact, Dakota. I had just taken my pre-workout and was 10 minutes into my workout when I got a call about interviewing Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase for Super Bowl Media Day. And luckily, it was via computer, obviously not in person, so they couldn't see how bad I was sweating bullets. And it wasn't because I was nervous about interviewing them, but it was because I was literally pre-workout had just kicked. I was rolling, and then all of a sudden I'm in front of a computer, like trying to sit still and ask questions.
Oh man, you were all jittery and excited, and you were
he was amped up. This is what Jim looked like on the feed, though. That's what he looked like. He put his camera to sleep.
Oh man,
like the black and white silhouette. All right, sausage or bacon? I'm a big breakfast guy, and I'm probably gonna go with both. But in this game, you can't go with both. So if you had to get,
why you gonna do that to him?
Hey, I know that's a hard decision, but I got to go with bacon.
Bacon, man. Yeah, I'll tell you this. There's not many better smells coming out of the kitchen than some fresh bacon.
I completely agree.
All right, Xbox or PlayStation?
Xbox all the way. Xbox all the way.
What's your go-to game?
I'm playing I just got Madden 25. It's my first Madden game, so I'm kind of getting into it. I'll play Call of Duty some. I'll play a couple shooter games.
I was ready to talk smack until he said he just got into it, Daniel. I was like, whenever you want to get served, man. But then he can't. And so I was slow my roll.
Man. All right. If you were gonna learn to play one of these two, which would you rather play? The guitar?
I'd rather play the guitar.
Really?
Yeah.
Why the guitar? What do you got against the piano?
My sister is a piano player. And so, hey, I would rather be different than my sister.
All right, so Daniel, I thought about this when I put this question on here. Kyle Davis could play both when we were in high school playing football, and I go to his house, and I watched him play both in different times in front of a girl. Let me tell you, you can play a piano. The women love it. Everybody talks about the guitar, but that's because they don't see too many dudes just tickling the ivories. You know what I'm saying? The piano's the way to go.
I mean, yeah, it's just here's the thing about the piano. You just can't whip out your piano and play a little tune for folks.
True.
I mean, you can have your little keyboard in your vest.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a little mini keyboard just going to town? All right. What do you love more, the driver or the putter?
My putter and I have a love-hate relationship, so I'm going to have to go with the driver.
They say drive for the ladies and putt for the dough.
That is what they say. But hey, if you hit it close enough with your irons and wedges, then it just eliminates the putter.
I mean, that's what Happy Gilmore did, Daniel.
There's nothing worse than hitting a great shot, an approach shot, and then you 3-putt or 4-putt or 5.
And so what I was talking about earlier, sponsoring 3 years in a row golf team, as a matter of fact, at that Olive Branch Country Club. I just think there's nothing, even though I saw the best of best drives, I saw long putts, but man, when you chip one in from like 100 yards out, I was just watching and I was like, man, that is so cool. Like if I did that, I'd run and like jump into one of those ponds and celebrate, Daniel.
Oh yeah. I'm telling you, a great struck wedge shot that just shoots out at the perfect trajectory and just is gorgeous. That's the best feeling out of all of it.
Man, that would be the day.
Hole in one, bro.
I'd quit. I'd quit golf if I did that. I'd just be like, I've done everything I could do in this game. All right. Would you rather be stranded on an island all alone or stranded with your worst enemy?
Alone.
Really? You wouldn't want the company of your worst enemy?
I have no problem being alone. I do it in golf all the time. I love being with people, but I also have zero problem being alone. And so I don't think I'd have a problem with it.
Man, that's tough. I don't know. I don't know if I could deal with the isolation. I think I'd have to have somebody there, even if I didn't like them.
That's fair.
All right. Last this or that question. All right. That's a big one. Would you rather go to the Masters or would you rather attend any concert of your choice anywhere?
Ooh, okay. That's a little bit of a tough one. I definitely have to go with going to the Masters, but the thing is, I actually recently went and played Augusta National, where the Masters is held. I got to play 3 rounds there, or 2.5 rounds, and I was there with Lauren Roberts and a couple other people, and I would love to go back when the Masters was there.
Did you? So, all right, I gotta ask. So, when you're playing at Augusta, is it the same course that we're seeing on TV, or is this a separate course for not public use, obviously, but
it's the same one.
So if I said, amen corner, like how did you handle that? Like you'd be like, oh man, I demolished that. Nothing.
Yep. So I actually played it from the tour tees. I was playing the golf course tipped out. Lauren, the guy that I told y'all about, the ex-professional, he was there with me, and he actually said it was playing longer and not necessarily tougher, but it was playing probably close to as hard because it was so long and so wet when we played it. When the tour players are playing it, it is firm and fast, and they've got wedges into a lot of greens that I had 7 and 6 irons into, and it was only because they get roll. My average drive is the same distance as the average PGA Tour player.
Wow. So when you're having the opportunity to play this, do you have a caddy, or you're having to read everything yourself?
So actually, only at the Masters or at Augusta would you get in trouble for using your rangefinder. and it's because they have caddies there. And I got told that I wasn't allowed to use my rangefinder.
Then tell your caddy he needs to do a better job.
No. They did an incredible job. Hey, I have nothing negative to say about the entire experience.
He didn't want to caddy. He said, I'll carry my own bag and I will do my own range finding.
Hey, I tried to pick up my bag for just a second, and I was the caddy was like, you can't do that. I was like, what? I just picked up my own bag. I was like, I do this all the time in tournaments, and it was just second nature. And he was like, no.
He said the cameras around this place are watching. If you pick up your bag, I'm going to
I
get
will
fired.
get fired if you carry your bag. All right. Well, let's go around the horn. Enough of the hot seat mess. Daniel, we are going to let our guests go last, but I'll go ahead and go first. I got to start. Daniel, it may be my fandom. It may be my bias. Jamar Chase, we were talking about that greatest team. We were talking about the fact that I got to interview him. I think, Daniel, when it is all said and done, our Triple Crown winner, who had 127 receptions, 1,708 yards, 17 receiving touchdowns, and been on both your fantasy football championship teams, I think he's going to be the greatest receiver that ever played this game. Is that saying too much too early after 4 seasons?
Trajectory, he needs to win a Super Bowl. I mean, we're 4 years in, and they're not in the playoffs this year.
Been to a Super Bowl, that's good. There's something there.
He's got to win it. And I know, like, he's doing it's like Mike Evans. Mike Evans just tied Jerry Rice for the most 1,000-yard seasons consecutively, and that's a big deal. But Mike Evans is probably higher regarded over most wide receivers in the league because he's won a couple Super Bowls, and he will be a Hall of Famer because he's won a couple Super Bowls. Not that Jamar Chase won't be a Hall of Famer if he doesn't win a Super Bowl, but if he wants to be in the upper echelon of the best to ever do it, he's got to
winning fantasy football championships for my best friend isn't championships. I'm just saying.
That counts. Like, if you're asking me, I'm crowning him today.
Well, I'll tell you who did get crowned last season. That's Aaliyah Finnegan from LSU, and that's my other around the horn. Daniel, you watched it Friday night. We were texting each other. I mean, no Haley Bryant, no best gymnast in the country. That's okay. I will just step right in and be the best gymnast in the country. Our guest, our Olympian, man, 39.725 all-around score. She won the individual in gymnastics, dude, in vault, uneven bars, and floor exercise across the country, not even just her own event. Like, if it wasn't for Jade Carey, who is an Olympian, by the way, taking beam, she'd have had a clean sweep, Daniel. So shout out to Aaliyah Finnegan, our guest, getting it done. I will see her Saturday in Oklahoma City. Man, ready for it, Daniel. I will have the clips, but your turn.
And the competition steps up a little bit this weekend. For me, obviously, we've hit the point where we're in playoff season with the NFL. Obviously, college football playoffs, we've down to the final 4 teams, and we're here at wild card week for NFL. I don't necessarily like, one of the things that I look at is the matchups, and having the Ravens and the Steelers take on each other in the first round is terrible, I think. But when you look at the other teams, it's like, well, who else are they going to play? I would prefer the Bengals to be in, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, when you talk about Denver or the Steelers, but I feel like, am I crazy, Daniel? The first round matchups, anything can happen is plus, but it feels like we know it's gonna be chalk, right?
I don't know, man. Like,
well, except for Houston, because Houston is
the Broncos defense. Like, I think Buffalo is going to win. Don't get me wrong. But Buffalo is a -9, and I see the Broncos being able to, like, really muck this game up and could make it a lot closer. I think the Ravens.
Are we doing a parlay? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, we'll do a parlay. Of course, it's the playoffs. Got to. But yeah, looking at that, if I'll ask you though, when you look at the Chiefs being the number 1 seed, like, nobody is talking about the Chiefs doing anything. Like, it's a lot of Josh Allen and a lot of talk on that front, but
Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen MVP talks, all that.
Yeah, but you're like, I always say this. What is the one thing I say about
you're the champ until you're beaten? And right now they're looking for a three-peat. I get you. I actually think they are the favorite in the AFC. I think the only team that's favorited to win over them is in the NFC and the Lions.
Can you believe? All right. Let's talk. Let's put our tinfoil hat on here. All right. I've been waiting to ask you this. Do you think the Chiefs didn't want to have any shot at playing Joe Burrow, that they just sat everybody and were like, we'll get run out of this building.
They talked about on Minnesota Sports Radio today. They absolutely did. They were down 24-0 after a quarter, dude. They did not try at all. They talk about playing Carson Wentz, but he had like 4-string receivers out there, dude. Practice squad guys. They never were trying to win that.
I think, and here's the thing. When I was talking about Buffalo, like Denver, I think defensively is going to be okay in that game, but I think Buffalo is going to win because I think people after this weekend got a really false or a very big misconception of what Denver actually is, just because of Kansas City wasn't playing anybody.
I'm going to bring Dakota back in the fold. Dakota, you're not a big football guy, but you are an underdog guy. Like, would you like to see, even though they're not the underdogs this year, but the Bills and the Lions have never won a Super Bowl, would you want to see that matchup just on the simple fact that there's going to be a fan base that gets to experience something they never have before?
100%. As you said, I am a big underdog guy. It relates to my story, and so I would love to see that.
It's crazy, Daniel, because they both have such good records, but those franchises have had misery. So while they may be good this year, they've never had that winning feeling. Man, that'd be cool to see those two, and somebody's gonna, whether the Bills put somebody through a table, Daniel, or whatever the case may be.
Well, if you look at the other side of the NFC, the Packers got put through a table, and I'm here to watch that. They lose to the Bears and drop to the 7th seed, and they get the Eagles, on top of the fact that Christian Watson's now out for the remainder of the season and Jordan Love is hurt. So
Aaron Rodgers is no longer the Packers. You don't have to hate them so much.
No, I hate them. I absolutely hate them. You didn't see what the Packers did to the Cowboys last year. You remember that?
I do.
Remember that whole debacle?
So I got a question for you, Dakota, before you get to your next round of the horn. And you don't watch football. Tell me, Dakota. I mean, you were at St. Jude. You were at Le Bonheur. Spent a lot of time. Tell me you root for Memphis Tigers basketball.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I definitely do when it comes to that. Hometown, I'm actually pretty close with Mr. Penny Hardaway. And so I definitely root for the basketball team.
Well, that's good to hear, because they're putting themselves in a very good position. Obviously, they've had, the Arkansas State loss is unacceptable, and you could have went a number of different ways after that game, but they went the right way. They turned around, they started winning games, and then they played a really good Mississippi State team, and for whatever reason, they weren't prepared to play and they lost. When you look at that and then you get beat by an Auburn team who, in my opinion, is that was the best basketball team I've ever seen in that particular game. But they are doing everything in their power to get out of that 8-9 seed. And I think they've done a really good job of putting themselves out of that. I don't know how high they can go. I don't think a 3 seed is going to be in the cards just because the conference is so weak. But if they went out and they've done a magnificent job to start conference play by picking up 2 wins against, the 2 toughest teams by the net rankings that the conference had. And thankfully they only had to play North Texas once and they beat them. They don't have to play them a second time. But when you look at Memphis, is there excitement now, or is it still that I'm going to wait and see, just because at this point last year, they were actually a better team after this many games last year?
There's way more excitement. And I'll tell you this, and Dakota could probably speak to this. They said on the radio today, they'll take the Mississippi State loss if it means the Ole Miss win and win running away. Around here, that just means more. Ole Miss fans love to chirp, Daniel. And if you're going to win only one of those 2, that was the one to win. And I think, like I said, Dakota can agree. Memphis fans, after that win, and then getting this next one, are feeling really good.
True.
Yeah, definitely. Dakota, obviously, where would you, at the end of the season, I think it's realistic to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but Memphis will probably drop a conference game. Like I just like it's hard to win every single conference game, especially when you're getting everyone's best shot. UAB was supposed to be one of the best teams in the league, and they're not playing as well. But like, we always have a tough game against them. I could see us losing one to them, or losing one to like a South Florida or a Tulane or something that just we don't shoot the ball well. But barring any like drastic decline, like let's say we give up one, where do you see the Tigers at the end of the season? As far as seeding goes.
Well, as you were saying, the third's probably out of equation. Probably fifth or sixth is my guess.
Yeah, I would take I would take a 6.
Yeah,
that 5 that 5-12 matchup. That's not something
one last year when 3 of the 5s lost, and I think they even said that it's like a 3-year run of where at least 2.
It's definitely one. Like, yeah, it's an occurrence. It's a regular occurrence every year in that 5-12. But yeah, I'm excited. They put themselves in a great position. They got 2 of the best wins, on neutral sites against a Michigan State team who is clearly like playing out of their minds and a much better team than when we played them. And a UConn team who's starting to figure it out. They had a dogfight against Providence, on Sunday, but they figured out a way to win. But they're going to be right there. Those 2 wins aren't going to go anywhere. They're not going to hurt you. They're going to stay quad ones. Hopefully the Arkansas States and the Mississippi States and the Auburns and the games that we lose don't hurt you too bad. So
I'll say this, Daniel, and then we'll close this thing up. You said the Auburn was the best team that game. I think Auburn's the best team, period.
It's hard to say. Like I have yet to sit. Like I had the Tennessee game on.
That's a consistent. I mean, they've only had one bad game of the season. Everybody has bad games. They consistently beat people pretty good.
Yeah, but what I was saying is I had the Tennessee game on in the garage when I was taking down Christmas decor this weekend outside, and didn't really get a chance to watch a whole lot of like that to give you a determination. All I can base that question off of is I actually physically saw Auburn play really good basketball and look very dominant against what you would consider right now a very good Memphis Tigers team. So I agree. I think Auburn is probably the number 1 team, but I can't really give it a true fair, evaluation because I haven't really seen Tennessee enough.
Well, here's the evaluation I can give you.
Tennessee, if you come play Memphis, then I can give you
Dakota is the number 1 golfer on this podcast right now. That's a fact, bro.
That is what we like to hear.
That is fact. Dakota, man, before you get out of here, anything you want to plug or promote?
Yeah, so I actually have a website that I'm kicking up. I've had it for a while, but I'm about to seriously start picking up on it. It's called the Think Birdies Project, or the Dakota Golf Project. It's at thinkbirdies.com. And that's my website. And I also want to thank my sports psychologist, Kevin, and then my dad for being my golf coach. So,
man.
Wise beyond his years,
I'm telling you, gotta shout out the right folks. All right. I would be remiss if I didn't plug one of our best sponsors, Memphis City Design. Brands, gear, logos on everything from shoes to underoos, baby. They got your in off the bench gear while supplies last. It's a cold snap is here. Like the hoodies are in stock. Like
the Oklahoma hoodies just got made.
You want some of the nice, plush, pillowy, just blended, polyester cotton that's ever touched your skin with a hood to match? Go on over Memphis City Design. Get you in off the bench. Hoodie, you can get your favorite colors. There's different colorways. You can match it up, mix and match with your favorite team. If you're an Ole Miss person, if you're a Mississippi State person, if you're a University of Memphis person, if you're an Oklahoma person, we got something for you. So go visit them, check it out, support your boys here on the podcast. and stay warm out there. With that, Jim, we have reached the end of the podcast. Dakota, I want to thank you for joining us. If there's anything we can do for you along the way, man, hey, reach out to us.
Absolutely. I want to thank y'all for having me on. It was a great time, and I'm very appreciative.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. That is Dakota Cunningham, everybody. If you like hearing Dakota's story, or you just like hearing us average Joes talk X's and O's, please like and share the podcast on Facebook. Retweet us on X. Listen and subscribe wherever you stream your podcast. Head over to YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe, hit notifications. That way, when these episodes are uploaded, you'll be one of the first to know. Jim, we got a big week. What we got coming up?
Yeah, man. Going to the two teams we do the most, college baseball season. We got Mick Paul from LSU, and then we got Dalton Bargo from Tennessee. So it's right around the corner.
That's right, baby. That is right. Got a lot with the Grid and Grind show coming up. David Blatt tomorrow. Y'all check us out. Stay tuned for the rest of the week. Got big things coming. This has been the In Off the Bench podcast. As always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We are out.